Now at 11, Spain, shaken by terror. A van runs people down on a packed street.
The latest scenes of carnage and mayhem sicken us all.
The U.S. and the rest of the world condemning this latest attack. We have night team coverage of the terror in Barcelona.
Then the president tweeting a reference to torture in response to terrorism, why historians say he's just wrong.
Plus, preparing for protests here in Boston.
First sign of a problem, we're going to shut it down.
City leaders stepping up security ahead of this weekend's free speech rally.
Gorgeous stretch of weather coming to a close tomorrow as we track showers and storms moving in. But will any of them linger into the weekend? That forecast ahead.
Also, a new lead in a mystery disappearance. Family of Natalie Holloway think their search may be over.
And farewell to a Fenway fixture. A name change may be on the way to Yawkey Way.
It's all now from the night team.
7 News at 11 starts now. Tonight at 11, chaos in the crowded streets of Spain.
It was just a really, really horrific scene of, immediate carnage.
So much chaos and everyone just screaming and yelling.
A van plowing into pedestrians.
The latest scenes of carnage and mayhem sicken us all.
Europe targeted yet again. Terror in Barcelona.
And there's actually breaking news now from Spain here at 11 o'clock. This is the van involved in that attack being towed away by police in Barcelona. Outside the city, police say they have now shot and killed 5 terror suspects. Police say they shot those men responding to a terror attack.
And they're investigating a possible link to the attack today in Barcelona. Where that happened, a van jumped a curb targeting tourists on a busy block. The van plowing into people who were shopping, eating, and enjoying a summer day. And at least 13 people were killed. And at least 100 more hurt in what the Spanish Prime Minister is calling a, quote, barbaric attack.
And police do have 2 suspects in custody, but say neither was the actual driver. ICE is now claiming responsibility for the attack, but they haven't provided any proof of that as of yet.
And tonight, authorities in Spain and across Europe on alert, as this is just the latest in a string of similar attacks in the past year.
And from the latest on the investigation into the attack to what people who were there in Barcelona during those terrifying moments have to say, we've got night team coverage, and we're going to start off now with 7's Brandon Gano. Brandon?
Johnny, on Barcelona today became the latest Western city to be targeted by a terrorist attack. Police have 2 men in custody, but say the man behind the wheel in today's horrific attack is still out there. Police say at least 3 terrorists plotted an attack in Spain, driving a van into a crowd of pedestrians on a sidewalk, hitting more than 100 people at speeds up to 50 miles per hour.
All we could see from the windows was just people running around in the plaza. Yeah, it was really scary.
This cell phone video shows the immediate aftermath of the attack. You can see several people on the ground. It happened in the popular tourist shopping area of Las Ramblas in Barcelona, Spain. Witnesses described the terrorist attack.
All of a sudden, a white van started speeding out of nowhere and took a drastic right turn right onto the walking part of the La Rambla street and right into the people that were standing on the opposite side of the crosswalk that I were at. And he just plowed them down with his van and continued to drive down the La Rambla.
Police have arrested 2 men for the attack, but investigators say neither are the driver of the van. That person is still on the loose. Also, a huge explosion at a house 120 miles south of Barcelona on Wednesday night is now being linked by police to the terrorist attack a day later. The ISIS media wing claimed the perpetrators were, quote, soldiers of the Islamic State.
Obviously targeting whatever was in his path. And I saw it plow into the merchants, the pedestrians. I saw people flying over the vehicle, just flying, all around the vehicle. And it was just a really, really horrific scene of immediate carnage. Really, really shocking.
Many around the world are in mourning. The Eiffel Tower went dark in honor of the victims of the attack. Tel Aviv City Hall in Israel lit up with the flags of Spain and Israel in honor of the victims of the attack, making the Israeli capital the first city in the world to pay tribute to the victims of Thursday's attack. And the Prime Minister of Spain said terrorism is a global threat and the reply needs to be global.
It is clear that we are united in pain today, but also in the determination to fight with this or against this barbarity.
President Trump tweeted condemning the attacks. 3 days of mourning have been declared in Spain to honor the victims. of the terror attack. In the newsroom, Brandon Gano, 7 News 19.
That van targeting a busy block of restaurants, shops, and tourist attractions, sparking chaos in the crowd, people running desperately for safety in those hectic moments. Now tonight, we're hearing from witnesses who were caught in the chaos. Our night team coverage continues with Tim Caputo.
Yeah, Justin, some scary moments there. An American family recalls the terrifying moments during today's deadly attack, including when they realized they got separated from each other. These Barcelona streets were packed with tourists and locals when the van came barreling through, hitting everything in its path.
We saw all these people, tourists running with bags, moms, kids, everybody trying to find some shelter.
One Florida family on vacation in Spain were caught in the middle of the chaos.
But there was a stampede of people coming. It sounded crazy as chairs were flying everywhere. I had never seen anything like it.
Justin Ritkus says in the confusion, as everyone was running for their lives, their family of 6 got separated.
My dad realized our little brother wasn't there. Everyone else was in front of us, so he went back, and I went with him to find my little brother. He was actually pushed into a pole, and he has a little bruise on his forehead.
Other witnesses say people were frantic and tripping over each other as they tried to find a safe spot to hide.
Just the floor is very wet, and I witnessed a few people falling over and their kids, and I also fell once, but was luckily able to pick myself back up and run out of there. And all you could hear was just people just in extreme, it was just so much chaos, and everyone just screaming and yelling, trying to find their other family members.
The entire Ritkus family found each other, then hid in a restaurant until they knew the threat was over. They huddled together with other families from all over the world, everyone trying to escape the terror in the streets.
Everyone was just hugging, and there were people that only spoke Spanish, people like us that only spoke English, and people that were Asian who only spoke Mandarin. But all together, we were in that room, united as one.
And outside a couple bumps and bruises, that Florida family made it out unharmed. They actually have a flight back home tomorrow morning. Live in the newsroom, Tim Caputo, 7 News 19.
All right, thank you, Tim. And we've seen similar attacks like this before. We hate to say it, but it's true, where the plan is to drive a vehicle into a crowd of people. You'll remember it happened in London in June. And that's when a man drove a van into a group of people near a mosque. 1 person was killed and 10 others were hurt in that. Also in London, an SUV plowed into pedestrians walking along the very popular Westminster Bridge. 4 people were killed in that attack, and the driver was then subsequently killed by police. And then in Berlin last year, remember this, a semi-truck drove right into a crowd at a popular Christmas market there. That's where 12 people were killed and 56 others were injured. The driver of that truck was then found dead in the driver's seat. And in South France last summer, a terrorist drove a tractor trailer into a crowd of people celebrating very popular Bastille Day. 86 people were killed in that incident, nearly 500 hurt. And these attacks have inspired new security measures for public events held here in the city of Boston. Police have used dump trucks, sometimes snow plows, to block off streets and try and prevent any attacks here on the home front. And you can stay with 7 News for the very latest on the terror in Barcelona as more details start to emerge. Just go over to our website, WHCH.com, where you can download our 7 News mobile and tablet apps.
Also from the night team, preparing for protests here in Boston ahead of what's being called a free speech rally planned for Saturday. Now, after Charlottesville, city leaders say they have to be ready for whatever happens. Night team's Adam Bagney is live in Boston with how they're stepping up security.
Yeah, Justin, so the mayor is firmly against this event, but the city did give organizers a permit. They say, though, if there's any sign of violence, they will stop this rally immediately.
If the free speech rally goes out of control, first sign of a problem, we're going to shut it down. Zero tolerance on Boston Common.
The mayor taking a hardline stance just days before a controversial protest at the nation's oldest public park. The city will begin setting up security tomorrow for Saturday's free speech rally, an event expected to draw supporters of the alt-right movement, some of the same groups that sparked violence earlier this week in Charlottesville.
If anyone throws something, we're going to find you, arrest you. The last thing we want to do is see somebody get hurt.
Mayor Marty Walsh says police will use barricades to keep protesters and counter-protesters apart. They'll also be deploying large city vehicles to block streets and live cameras with events being monitored in real time. But the mayor says he does have some concerns over a group of counter-protesters scheduled to march in from Roxbury.
I'm not worried about the Boston Common on Saturday because we will have barriers up there, but I'm worried about walking to the Common. I'm worried about people leaving the Common, and certainly we're worried about issues like what happened in Barcelona.
A similar free speech rally took place on the Common back in May. Police saying there were some minor scuffles, but just 2 people were detained. Still, this time around, senses are heightened on all sides. Someone already writing "Punch Nazis" in chalk on the Common's bandstand.
We want people to be careful. We will try and keep everyone as safe as possible, but you just don't know what people are going to do.
And as a precaution, the city says the Frog Pond and Swan boats will be closed on Saturday. They may also get an assist from the weather. Rain is in the forecast. We're live tonight here in Boston. I'm Adam Bagney, 7 News Night Team.
And be sure to stay with the news station. 7 News will be covering the rally and counter-protest all day Saturday. Now today in New England, we'll have live coverage starting at 8 a.m.
And the president continuing to comment on the violence in Virginia. President Trump tweeting today there should be limits on the removal of statues commemorating U.S. history. This as cities across the country are now taking down Confederate statues in the wake of the deadly Charlottesville rallies. The Night Team's Kiki Vincel's live for us right now. She's in the control room with more information. Kiki?
Johnny, the president is standing by statements he made earlier this week and making his opinion on incidents across the country very clear. This as he responds to the latest terror attack overseas.
Excuse me.
President Trump is hitting back at critics of his response to the violence in Virginia with some criticism of his own.
Many of those people were there to protest the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. So this week it's Robert E. Lee. I noticed that Stonewall Jackson's coming down. I wonder, is it George Washington next week? And is it Thomas Jefferson the week after? You know, you really do have to ask yourself, where does it stop?
In the days since the president made those comments, several Confederate statues and monuments have been taken down or even covered up, like this one on George's Island in Boston Harbor. Today, he took to Twitter to reiterate his thoughts, writing, "Sad to see the history and culture of our great country being ripped apart with the removal of our beautiful statues and monuments. You can't change history, but you can learn from it. Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, who's next? Washington, Jefferson? So foolish." Also, the beauty that is being taken out of our cities, towns, and parks will be greatly missed and never able to be comparably replaced. But the president had more to say on the social media site. This time about the terrorist attack in Barcelona. Shortly after condemning the attack, he tweeted, "Study what General Pershing of the United States did to terrorists when caught. There was no more radical Islamic terror for 35 years. The president also used a story about Pershing during his campaign.
He took 50 men and he dipped 50 bullets in pig's blood. And he had his men load his rifles, and he lined up the 50 people, and they shot 49 of those people. And the 50th person, he said, you go back to your people and you tell them what happened. And for 25 years, there wasn't a problem.
But historians have debunked the story several times, saying there's no evidence of it, and it simply isn't true. Today, the president received more criticism from prominent members of the Republican Party who questioned his morality and competence to serve. Kiki Vincel's 7 News Night Team.
The Night Team now turning to a possible change in Boston. Yawkey Way could be on the way out. Red Sox ownership saying they want to change the name of the street by Fenway Park. Now comes as the troubling history of the team's former owner continues to surface. Night Team's Justin Bork joins us live from Fenway with more.
And this is still far from certain. The abutters here on Yawkey Way with a Yawkey Way address, including John Henry, will have to petition the city. Then there will be a hearing. But those we spoke to here tonight were less concerned about the process and more concerned of should this be done at all. Yawkey Way, a street name that invokes powerful memories for Fenway faithful.
I just hear that name, Yawkey Way.
You come down here and they close it off and it's like a big party.
If they change it, I'd be like, I don't know that street.
Today, Red Sox principal owner John Henry proposed just that, changing the name of this historic street and Fenway's address in light of the man himself, a former Red Sox owner who oversaw the last team in the majors to integrate.
We have a undeniable history of racial intolerance.
Red Sox president and CEO Sam Kennedy says that history invokes bad memories for some who come to enjoy the park.
We've tried to be very clear where the Red Sox stand and making sure that Fenway Park is open, warm, inclusive, and inviting to everyone in the Boston and New England community.
Tom Yawkey was a great man.
But those who knew Yawkey himself, like Red Sox Hall of Fame pitcher Bill Lee, say there's a good legacy for those who were part of his organization.
Don't change horses in the middle of a stream. Don't bring up controversy like this.
In the end, those here say it comes down to how the fans feel.
It's a balance. If there's enough people, change it. If it's just something in the past that we can forget, then keep it the same way.
And Mayor Marty Walsh has already weighed in, saying he supports renaming Yawkey Way, although what that new name could possibly be, that's still up in the air. We're live at Fenway Park. Justin Borg, 7 News 19.
A 6-year-old boy is on life support tonight after fire officials pulled him from a backyard pool. Crews responding to this home on Trenton Street in East Boston, where the boy was found unconscious. He was taken to MGH in very serious condition. The incident is now under investigation tonight.
A fire tears through an abandoned building in Onset. Now, Sky 7 HD over the scene earlier, and you can see the flames have been put out. Crews there now just putting out a few hot spots. The structure looks to be a total loss. Now, no one was injured, and no word yet on a cause.
All right, up next, hoping for a break in a cold case.
Hear from the family of Natalie Holloway as they talk about a new discovery that could bring them closure.
And a woman missing for days. The rescue crews swoop in to make a very dramatic save.
Beautiful summer weather the last couple of days, but that all changes tomorrow. We track showers and storms. Weekend forecast ahead.
And a llama on the loose and on the golf course. Yes, you heard me right. Next on 7 News at 11.